So today we are here for the second day of mini MBA in HR. I'll just share my screen with you. So welcome to mini MBA in Human Resource Management, the second day. And yesterday we had discussed a number of things and aspects regarding human resource management, whereby we talked about the strategic aspects of human resource management, the functions of human resource management. Now, today, let us first of all try to understand that what is the HR competency model. Now, when we are talking of the HR competencies in the present times, we have to be sure that we are focusing upon two aspects at the same time. That is what is HR professionalism about. We have to focus upon, on one side, business, and on the other side, people, as far as HR professionalism is concerned. That means the HR professional should have adequate knowledge of business. At the same time, he should be good in managing the people, as you can see on both the sides of the arrow. If the HR person does not know how to manage people, in that case, his knowledge of business is not sufficient enough to make the organization successful or to enhance the organizational performance. On the other hand, if he has good knowledge of human resource management practices and is good at managing people, but if he does not have knowledge of the business, in that case also, he cannot contribute in a justified manner towards the enhancement of organizational performance. So that means there has to be a balance between the two. He needs to have knowledge of business. Together with that, he needs to know how to manage the people in the organization to be a successful HR professional. So the organizational capabilities, as you can see, are very, very important. He needs to have knowledge of talent management, and he needs to be good at organizational designing. He needs to be a culture and change steward. He needs to be good at strategy formulation. At the same time, he should have full knowledge of the systems and processes so that he's able to frame the right kind of HR strategies and policies. He should also be good at networking and building relationships. He has to be a credible activist. That means he should be a person with a good reputation. He should have a good credibility. And at the same time, he should actively participate in the affairs of the organization. He should be focused. He should be open to confrontation and challenges, and he should exercise creativity. He should know how to take a stand on various issues. So he has to be a credible activist. Then he has to be, of course, an operational executor. That means he should have full knowledge of the systems and processes of human resource management. He should perform all the functions, the basic functions of human resource management, ranging from planning to recruitment, to selection, training and development, performance appraisal, industrial relations. So he should be good at executing all the operational part of human resource management. Then he should act as a business ally. That means he should have full knowledge of the value chain of business. He should have full knowledge of what are the expectations of the customers, the type of business, the nature of business the firm is into, and he should be able to link the internal customer expectations with the external customer expectations. The internal customer is, of course, the employee. So he should be able to create a linkage between the external customer and the internal customer. So he has to be aware of what are the expectations of the external customers from the company. And according to that, he should frame the right kind of HR policies and come up to the expectations of the employees as well, keeping in alignment with the external customer expectations. Then he has to be a talent manager and organizational designer. So for talent management, you know that he should know how to hire the right kind of talent for the organization. He should be able to hire the right people for the organization and also enhance their potential within the organization. He should be able to retain them. He should be able to groom them. He should be able to enhance their capabilities, provide career planning for them, enhance their capabilities through proper training and development programs. And he should also design the structure of the organization, the systems and processes of the organization, as I said, in accordance with the expectations of the customers and in accordance with the expectations of the employees. Then he's the one who creates the right kind of culture of the organization. He shapes up the culture of the organization. And for that, he needs to possess the competency of being a culture and change steward. He should create the culture of openness, trust, transparency in the organization. He should create this culture of collaboration, and at the same time confrontation also, because if there is no confrontation, if things are always working in a very smooth manner, that means people in the organization are either not taking interest or they are totally immune to the systems of the organization. So some confrontation also needs to be there. So there has to be a proper culture in the organization, and he should also bring about changes in the organization in accordance with the changes in the external environment. If there are some changes in the technology part, if there are some changes in the economic environment, if there is a change in customer expectations, if there is some change in legislation, accordingly, he should be able to adapt according to the changes of the external environment. And he should be a strategy architect also, because yesterday also we discussed a lot about how HR can play a strategic role, how HR is a strategic business partner, and how an HR person is expected to have all knowledge of all the aspects of business, whether it relates to finance, whether it relates to marketing, it relates to research or technology or engineering. He should be having full knowledge to frame and to contribute in framing the strategies of the organization and create a link between the HR strategy and the corporate strategy. So that means overall, this is the proposed HR competency model, whereby the HR person should have a balanced approach towards the business and towards the people. And then only he would be able to add value to the organization, and he can focus upon improvement of the organizational performance. So now when we talk about human resource management further, we can see in this chart that first of all, the business objectives for the organization have to be very clear. Once the business objectives are clear, we can go for HR planning. We can go for job analysis. From job analysis, we prepare job description and job specification. And then we go on for recruitment and selection. We cannot directly come to recruitment and selection without doing this background work, because we would not be able to hire the right kind of people in the organization if we do not do proper human resource planning, if we do not do proper job analysis, if we do not have clear-cut job descriptions and job specifications. So let us have a look at what actually is human resource planning. So basically, when we talk about human resource planning, it is a process of forecasting the future demand and supply of the organization's right number of people in the and the right type of people in the organization. So in other words, when we are going to start with any kind of planning on the human resources front, first we need to be aware that what is the existing state of human resources in the organization, what is going to be the future demand, and what is going to be the supply of the people. According to that only we can then go on with the recruitment and selection process. Because if we do not pay attention to the present supply of human resources, and we do not have an idea about the future demand for human resources, then we may end up either having shortages of employees in the organization or hiring surplus employees. Both ways, it is not good for the organization. That is why we have to be very, very clear that how we go about the human resource planning part. And when we are going forward with the human resource planning, first of all, the organizational objectives and policies need to be clear. That means, why are we doing human resource planning? What is the organizational objective? Do we want to expand into some new market, or we want to downsize the organization? Secondly, maybe whether we want to promote people from within or we want to hire from outside. What is going to be the focus of the organization in the coming years as far as the strategy is concerned, as far as the business strategy is concerned? Based upon that, we will do HR needs forecast and HR supply forecast. So that means how many human resources we need in the organization. So we have to chalk out our demand for human resource forecasting, and there are different methods for that. For example, we have the management judgment method, we have the Delphi technique, we have the work study approach, and we have the bottom-up approach. So for example, if we talk about Walmart, so Walmart is following a bottom-up approach for forecasting the demand of human resources. Bottom up means, that means what Walmart is doing, first at the front line, at the lower level, the prediction and the estimation for the HR needs and the manpower needs is made. And then it is at the lower level, once the needs are chalked out, then it is sent at the higher level, the middle level, and then the needs are forecasted the middle level, then it goes to the higher level. So this is a bottom-up approach. That means rather than concentrating on the top-down approach, whereby the top management is forecasting for all the levels, they ask from the lower level. They start from the lower level. The lower level departments, they have to estimate their manpower needs, which are then sent to the middle and the lower, the topmost level. So that means the HR needs forecast is very, very important. Then another thing which Walmart is following, another method which they are following is trend analysis. That means they try to find out that what is the current trend of human resource management, and they try to link it. On the basis of that, they predict the future demand for human resources through extrapolation and statistical techniques. So based upon trend analysis. Then they are, for example, following the Delphi technique. In Delphi technique, the opinion of the experts is seat. That is, what is their opinion about the demand for human resources in the organization. So they are also following the Delphi technique. So that means different organizations may use different techniques for forecasting the demand for human resources. And you also have to be clear about the HR supply forecast. That means what is the current supply of human resources within the organization as well as external to the organization. So what are the skills, qualifications, number of people available, and how much you require. Then you can go for HR programming, and you can lay down that from where you are going to fulfill this, these manpower needs. Once you are able to lay down the approaches, the sources, then you will go for implementation of the human resource planning, and you will also evaluate and control the program. That means whether it is meeting the desired objectives or not, whether it is cost effective or not. Now, if there is surplus of manpower in the organization, if you have assessed the manpower position in the organization, and if there is surplus of manpower, that means you are paying unnecessarily, and which is a cost for the organization. You do not require so many employees. Then what do? You can restrict your hiring. You can freeze your recruitment. If somebody leaves the organization, in that case, there's no need to fill up that vacancy. So that is called freezing recruitment. So if somebody, if there is some vacancy and there is employees are retiring, or some of the employees are leaving the organization, then that vacancy is not filled because already you are having surplus employees. Or you can go for layoffs of employees or VRS. You can give voluntary retirement schemes in the organization so that you can have a golden handshake with the employees. So surplus manpower requires its own strategies to deal with such situation. If there is shortage of manpower, then in that case, you have to go for hiring of the employees. Now, for example, talking about Walmart, they check the turnover rate of the employees. That means turnover rate means the rate at which the employees leave the organization. And they compare the recruitment rate with the turnover rate and ensure that there is no gap. So if then more employees are leaving the organization and there is shortage of manpower, then they increase their recruitment rate so that there is no gap in the organization and the performance of the organization does not suffer. So that means we have to be very, very careful when we are designing the human resource planning system in the organization. Another very important thing is the job analysis part. Now, job analysis means what? That we try to understand that what are the tasks, duties, responsibilities involved in a particular job. Because if we are going in for recruitment and selection, first of all, we need to be aware that what exactly is the type of manpower we need. So for having the right kind of employees in the organization, first you need to be aware that what are the requirements of the work in your organization. So you have to study the various jobs, you have to select representative positions to be analyzed and chalk out that what are the tasks, duties and responsibilities involved in that particular job, what are the skills required to perform that job successfully. And for this, you have to collect the job analysis data, maybe through observation method, through diary method, to technical conference method. You have to collect the job analysis data. Now, for example, if you want to fill up the position of a sales executive, so what all duties, what all responsibilities, what all tasks need to be performed by that sales representative or sales executive, what are the skills required for that person, that complete documentation you need to maintain. So out of the job analysis, you prepare two documents. One is the job description. So job description contains the work, the tasks, duties and responsibilities which are required to be performed at a particular position. And you also prepare job specification. Job specification means the skills, experience, qualifications which are required for performance of that job in a proper manner. So that means you have to do job analysis. After job analysis, you document everything. And one thing which you prepare is job description, and the other thing which you prepare is job specification. And after doing all this, then only you can go in for recruitment and selection. Now, not only job analysis is important for recruitment and selection, but for various performance of various functions of human resource management. Whether you talk about performance appraisal, whether you talk about training and development, whether you talk about work redesign, or you talk about career planning, or you talk about job evaluation. Job evaluation means what? In order to chalk out the wages and salaries of employees, you calculate the relative worth of jobs. And for calculating the relative worth of jobs, you need to be aware of the tasks, duties, and responsibilities which are performed in each job. Secondly, if you have to provide training, in what area you provide training? First of all, you have to be clear that what are the requirements of the job. Then only you can provide training in that particular area. If you do not know that what are the duties to be performed in that job, what skills are required in that job, in what do you provide training? So it is very, very essential to do job analysis even for training and development. Even if you go for performance appraisal, you lay down the standards of performance and the goals of performance at the beginning of the year. So can you lay down standard performance without being aware of the tasks to be performed in a particular job? No, that is not possible. So that is why you need to be very much aware of the job analysis part in order to successfully perform all the functions of human resource management. Now, for example, if we take the example of job dimensions and job tasks for a university professor. So you see that for example, what does a university professor do? What is his work? What are his tasks? What are his duties? What are his responsibilities? So first of all, of course, teaching. That means a university professor, first of all, has to concentrate. One of his important duties is teaching. So he prepares and presents lecture material to class. Secondly, research is expected, that he goes in for publications of research papers, presents papers in conferences. So he prepares research reports for publication. That is another job dimension. Then he heads the departmental committees. There are HODs, there are various committees in the academic institutions which a professor has to head. Then today's professors, they also do the consulting part. They perform work for external organizations. And then besides that, he's expected to give career counseling advice to the students. So you can see that these are the job dimensions of a university professor. So when you are hiring a university professor, if you have a clear-cut picture of what are the duties, responsibilities of a university professor, then only you will be able to hire the right kind of a professor in your organization. I'm talking about an academic institution. The person has to be good at teaching, research. He should have leadership qualities to head various departmental committees, and should have some consulting part also with him. And he should be able to counsel the students and give career counseling to the students. So if you hire a person who is good at teaching, but he is not good at the other aspects, in that case, you will not be able to hire the right kind of person, because the other dimensions of the job of a university professor have not been paid attention to. So the work of the organization is going to suffer. So that means likewise, for all the positions, you have to do job analysis so that you're able to understand that you know that what are actually the skills which are required for a particular position. Now, once you are clear about the job analysis, then you have to start with the recruitment process. So generally we say recruitment and selection. We use the terms together. Now, basically, generally we use the terms together, but there is a little difference between recruitment and selection, because recruitment is the process of searching for prospective employees and stimulating and encouraging them to apply for jobs in an organization. That means you have to invite maximum applicants to and stimulate them to apply for jobs in the organization. So here, recruitment is what? A positive process. Now, it is not necessary that whatever applicants they apply to your organization, you are going to select them or they are going to join the organization. So recruitment is what? Searching and stimulating applicants to apply for jobs in the organization. And for that, you also need to create a good brand and good image of your company, because maximum people and skilled and talented people would like to apply to your company if your company has a good brand, employer brand, if it is a good having good reputation in the market, and talented people want to be associated with your company. So again, that is very important. Now, when we talk about the process of recruitment, first of all, you have to go for recruitment planning. Then you have to develop the strategy, and then you have to go for searching, screening, and evaluation and control. Recruitment planning. Now, recruitment planning, why is it so important? Because you have to determine the number and type of candidates required in the organization. Now, this is also, little bit of more attention it requires, because suppose, for example, you receive 2,000 applications. So it is not necessary that all those 2,000 applicants are qualified. Some may not meet the qualification criteria which has been set by you. So maybe you have received 2,000 applications, but the qualified applicants is only 200. Now, then you go for initial level of selection. You go for the initial screening. So out of those 200, maybe only 40 of the candidates, they are able to clear the initial level of selection. Out of those 40, again, you will go for tests, you will go for interviews and various rounds and GDs, etc. So maybe out of those 40, only 30 are selected and offered the job. Now, it is not necessary that all those 30 candidates whom you have selected and offered are going to join. So maybe the joiners are only 20. So that means you have to plan everything. How many, if you're not receiving enough applications, your choice, your to select the right kind of candidate gets very limited, because it's not necessary that whomever you're going to select is going to join your organization. So for example, if you receive 2000 applications, maybe at the end only 20 join, only 30 are selected. Out of that, only 20 are able to join your organization. And that is why you have to attract maximum talented people to apply for jobs in your organization, because finally who are going to be selected, who are going to join, the number may be very, very limited. Then when we talk about the sources of recruitment, so the sources of recruitment may be internal sources and they may be external sources also. So how do we, when we develop the strategy, naturally we have to decide about the sources of recruitment from where we are going to recruit the employees. And we also have to take make or buy decision. That means at which level we want to hire. Then do we want to hire freshers or we want to hire experienced people? Thirdly, whether we want to hire from within or we want to hire from outside. And fourthly, is it possible that we all train our in-house people to fill up the higher level position? So number of strategic options have to be considered according to the needs of the organization. Now, if we talk about internal recruitment, so the internal recruitment involves the employees who are working within the organization, say like through transfers and promotions, you can fill up your vacancies. Then the former employees who have been retrenched or who have been laid off or who have themselves left the organization due to some personal issues, they may like to come back and join the organization. So they are also sources of recruitment. Then if there is some previous applicants, the organization is already having a data bank of applications, and out of that it wants to recruit the employees, then that also can be made use of. Now if we talk about Google, well, since we're talking of internal recruitment, so even Google first goes for internal recruitment. That means if there is any vacancy in the organization, first it is the policy of the Google to first try to find out, search within the organization that who are the suitable people who would meet the criteria of the vacant position in the organization. Then they consider, if it is possible, they train the in-house people only to occupy the high level position in the organization. So at the first instance, Google goes for internal recruitment, and if possible, they want to train their already working employees to occupy the vacant positions in the organization. If this is not possible, if the vacancies are many, or if there are no suitable candidates for the kind of job profile which they are having, then they go for external recruitment. And for external recruitment also, the HR manager, together with the line manager, he chalks out the competency analysis for that particular position. That means what are the competencies required for that particular job profile, what are the skills involved, what are the duties involved, what is the like compensation that will be involved to be paid, that is required to be paid in that particular position, and whom that person is going to report to, how it is going to affect the cost part of the organization. That means entire competency analysis for that particular position is done together with the line manager, and then they go for hiring through third parties and through other agencies. And they have 4 to 12 round of interviews. Two interview rounds are the HR rounds, and then besides that they have 4 to 12 rounds of interviews to select the right kind of people. And not only do they have the selection procedure with the normal traditional part with the tests and the interviews, they also have some other selection procedures, like for example they have Google Code Jam, whereby they try to ask the candidates what are the loopholes in the products and services of Google, and there they try to check the awareness of the technology and the innovativeness of the candidates. So Of course, different people have different policies, but as I said, if the internal sources are not there, then you can go for external recruitment, and it also depends upon the needs of the organization. So talking about the external sources of recruitment, there are various external resources, like if it is unskilled workers are required, or if semi-skilled workers are required, then contract workers are there. Through contractors, you can hire the contract workers, especially, as I said, if it is for unskilled or semi-skilled workers. Then employee referrals is a good source of recruitment, whereby you ask your already existing employees to suggest out of their acquaintances or friends or relatives if somebody suitable and high potential person is there to fill up the vacancies in the organization. Then of course the newspaper advertisements are there. Then job portals, e-recruitment is there, whereby you have Naukri.com, Monster.com, and such kind of job portals, whereby companies, they give their vacancies and candidates can apply through them. Campus recruitment is a very, very significant source of recruitment. As I said, many big companies, they visit the campus, and they visit B schools, they visit the engineering colleges, they visit IITs, IIMs, and they recruit high potential candidates from the campus. Then the employment exchanges are there. The companies can register themselves, and the employees, they can also, the candidates, they can register themselves with the employment exchanges, and on suitability of the candidate according to the requirement of the company, the employment exchanges, they also act as a source of recruitment. Then of course walk-ins can be there, and if the candidate is found suitable, in that case he would be hired for that position. Besides that, consultants are there, private employment agencies are there, headhunters are there. That means people who try to attract talented people working in other organizations. This is especially for middle and senior level positions. So the consultants, the private employment agencies, they are also a source of external recruitment. Radio and television, yes, previously it used to occupy a very important part. Now, of course, its importance is diminishing with the social media coming in, and company website, the vacancies are published. Social media has become an important source of recruitment of reputed companies. Then if you attract high potential candidates from your competitors, which is known as raiding. So that also serves as a source of recruitment. And in case of mergers and acquisitions, naturally the employees of the other company, they also become a part of your organization, and accordingly you can use them according to your manpower needs. So there is no one good source of recruitment, or we can say that this is the ideal source of recruitment. It all depends upon the level at which you want to hire, whether you want to hire for lower level, you want to hire for middle level, or you want to hire for senior level position, you want to hire a fresher, you want to hire an experienced candidate, how much time you have, what kind of candidates you require. According to that, according to the needs of the organization, you can select the source of recruitment for your organization. Now, it is very important to evaluate and control the recruitment process, because if you're spending so much of time and money on your recruitment process, but you're not getting the desired results, that means you have to rethink about your recruitment process. Now, if the number of applications rejected is very large, and in that case, somewhere or the other, your source of recruitment was not the right one, and you have not been able to attract the right kind of candidates to your organization. Now, if the number of candidates selected is very less, somewhere or the other, again, you have to rethink. If you have selected the candidate, but the candidate does not turn out to be a good performer, that means again you have to rethink that what went wrong in the recruitment selection process. That means you hired the wrong person, and he's not able to come up to your expectations, and he's not able to perform up to the mark, or you're not able to retain talented employees. Then also you need to rethink the cost you are spending on recruitment. It has to be in accordance with your budget, in accordance with your financial capabilities. That is very important. And the time which lapses between the attracting the candidate and final placement of the candidate, how much time has lapsed? Because if it is taking a very long time, then the organizational work is going to suffer. So how much time you can afford to spend in this duration whereby you recruit, you attract the candidate until finally he joins? How much time you want to spare for that, and how much time you feel would be justified so that the organizational work does not suffer? And then the projected image of the organization. That means, were you able to project a good image? As I said, if you want to attract the right high potential talented candidates, then you have to create a good employer brand in the market. You have to create a good image of the company, and then only high potential candidates are going to be attracted and they would like to join your organization. So recruitment selection is not just about, finding out the sources of recruitment and just hiring people. It is more than that, and it requires a lot of serious thinking. This is just in good humor. The person is saying, I'm sorry, I only hire married men. I like men who can take criticism. So this is just in good humor that one of the skill which may be required in the potential candidate is the ability to handle criticism. So this company has a policy that we only hire married men because they feel that married men can take in more criticism. Now, the selection process. When we talk about the selection process, so naturally, the applicants who have applied to our company, we need to screen the applications first of all, because it is not necessary that all the applications are going to meet the criteria which have been set by us. So after the initial screening, you find out the suitable candidates, and then you will go for selection tests and methods. So various kind of selection tests may be there, intelligence tests may be there, achievement tests, aptitude tests, uh, and even personality tests. So depending upon the needs of the position, you will chalk out your selection tests. And in today's world, GD is there. So situational tests are there. How a person handles a particular situation. You check his decision-making ability. So depending upon, as I said, the need of the position at which you want to hire, and depending upon your own recruitment selection policy, the selection tests may be used. So once the candidate qualifies for the selection test, then you will go for interview. Or if the company policy is there, you want to go for GD and interview. It depends upon what kind of recruitment selection policy is there. But even interviews are of various kinds. You may have formal interview and structured interview, or you may have informal and unstructured interview. You may have stress interview, which many companies adopt in today's time. They want to check how much the candidate is able to handle criticism. And through their questions, they try to create such an environment whereby the candidate is put to a lot of stress. Each answer of the candidate is criticized. And before he finishes his answer, the next question is fired at him. There are long gaps of silence in between just to make the candidate nervous. They want to check how emotionally balanced the candidate is, how much he can handle stress, tension, and how much he can handle criticism. So depending upon what you require in your candidate, you can accordingly have the right kind of interview type in your organization. And if the candidate qualifies for the interview, then you have to check for references. That means whatever information you have filled in the application blank, or you're giving, the companies want to check. So maybe you can give the names of your acquaintances, professors, or your previous employers, whereby they can verify the information which you have given in your application. Physical examinations, medical examinations, especially in today's world. So the companies, they go for physical examinations and medical examination if the candidate is not HIV positive, or in today's world, even COVID has come. So hepatitis. So all these physical examinations and medical examination, the candidates may have to go through before he is finally placed at the position in the organization. So as I said, the selection methods, it varies from organization to organization, and also depending upon the level at which the selection has to be made. Now, another very important part of human resource management is performance appraisal. So performance appraisal basically means what? You try to evaluate the performance of the employee, whether he has performed in accordance with the goals which were set for him at the beginning of the year. And without checking the performance of the candidate, you really won't know whether you have hired a high potential and high performer or not. Secondly, yesterday also I said organizational performance depends upon employee performance. If the organization does not have a proper performance management system in place, you cannot really attain organizational goals, you cannot enhance your profitability, you cannot enhance your market share. So performance appraisal and performance management are very, very important part of human resource management, because the organizational performance depends upon the kind of performance management system you have in the organization. So it is a process of evaluating the performance of the employee in terms of its requirements. So you have to set the performance standards at the beginning of the year. You have to lay down the key result areas, the KRAs. You need to be aware of the key performance indicators, how you are going to check the performance of the employee. And you have to not only set the standards, but you have to communicate those standards. So this is done. I'm talking about performance appraisal right now. And after this, I'll be talking of performance management. So performance appraisal is generally done annually. And at the beginning of the year, you have to set the performance standards. You communicate those standards to the employees and that this is expected of them. At the end of the year, you have to um, compare the actual performance with the standard performance or the targeted performance, and you have to discuss the results with the employees, and accordingly corrective standards or corrective actions need to be taken. Now in HR, everything is interlinked. As I said, if you want to have the right kind of performance appraisal system in the organization, first of all, the job analysis should be proper. If you have not analyzed the job, how will you set the performance goals for various positions? So job analysis is very important. Now, if you do not do your performance appraisal in the right manner, how are you going to take the decisions in terms of areas of training, in which area you want to give training to the employee, who are the candidates who deserve increments, who deserve promotions, who are the candidates who require coaching, who require counseling, what are the reasons for lack of performance of some of the employees. So all these issues cannot be resolved without having a proper performance appraisal and proper performance management system. So of course, there are various technical methods for measuring the employee performance. For example, there is the graphic rating scale, there is the checklist method, then there is 360-degree appraisal, then there is BARS, that is behaviorally anchored rating scale. Then there is critical incident method. That means, when we're talking of measuring performance, we are not just talking in terms of measuring, just having an overview of performance. Proper technical methods are there for measuring the employee performance and checking that how far the employees have been able to meet the criteria which was laid down for them at the beginning of the year. Now, as I said, even performance management in today's world has become very, very important. So now what is happening is that traditionally companies were having performance appraisal system, whereby annually the standards were laid down, and at the end of the year, the actual performance was compared with the standard performance. But that was not found sufficient. Companies are still having performance appraisal system, but now the different companies like Delloitte, Adobe, General Electrics, they are shifting from annual performance appraisal to performance management, because in performance appraisal, the year has already elapsed. At the end of the year, you rate the employee and just try to find out that whether his performance was up to the mark or not. But that year has already passed. The organizational performance and the goals have already suffered, and not much can be done now. So rather than performance appraisal, now the companies are shifting from performance appraisal to performance management. So performance management basically is the process of continuous feedback and communication between the managers and the employees to ensure the achievement of the strategic objectives of the organization. So here we are not just measuring performance, but we are managing employee performance throughout the year through a process of continuous feedback and communication. So this ongoing process is going to check the employee performance, the gaps there and then, and take the corrective actions immediately rather than waiting till the end of the year. So in today's world, we do not merely talk of measuring employee performance. Of course, you have to measure employee performance, but performance management has to go beyond that. Simply measuring is of not much use. You have to manage and talk about improving the employee performance throughout the year rather than simply at the end of the year. And that is why companies are shifting from performance appraisal to performance management system. Now, if we talk of Deloitte, so this company, it scrapped its once a year performance reviews in 2015. So till 2015, they were having the performance appraisal system only, whereby they were reviewing the performance of the employees annually. But they scrapped this off in 2015 because it was not meeting the purpose. Rather than that, they introduced weekly check-in by the team leader. So instead of simply having a performance review at the end of the year, they changed the system and they introduced a system whereby the team leader would weekly check the performance of the employee, and if there is any gap, he would give the feedback and coaching there and then only, rather than waiting till the end of the year, so that the work of the organization does not suffer and the employee also knows the direction in which he has to move. Then they introduce quarterly reviews. So that means you cannot actually totally do away with employee reviews or measurement of the performance, because you need proper analysis and data for taking various decisions. So they did continue with reviews, but they made them quarterly at the end of the year. Then here the team leader was, when the team leader was interacting with the employees throughout the year or weekly check-in, then they simply did not have to point out at the weaknesses of the employees. Rather, they had to give 4 future focus statements about each team member. That means rather than talking about the weaknesses of the employees, they have to give such statements as to what they are going to do with that team member, how they are going to focus upon the improvement of the performance of the employee. So they had to give 4 future focus statements about each team member. That is what is going to be done for improvement of performance of that team member. So you see that how Deloitte, it changed its performance management system, and from appraisal, it came to management. It introduced quarterly reviews rather than annual reviews. Now, we've all heard the name of Adobe. So in Adobe, how this performance management system was brought into and how it was introduced. So in 2012, they abandoned the annual performance appraisals. They were also having annual performance appraisals till 2012, but again, they found that it was not helping in the improvement of the performance of the company. So they abandoned the annual performance appraisal system and they replaced it with regular check-ins. So that means, again, the regular check-ins and frequent feedback was given to the employees, which was both positive and constructive. We are not using the word negative feedback, constructive feedback. That means not simply criticizing the employee for lack of performance, but giving him constructive suggestions on how he can improve his performance. Because if you just tell the employee that your performance is very, very weak and you're very bad at these areas, that is not really going to help the company. You have to give constructive feedback to the employee that how he should work upon those areas, so that it creates a win-win situation both for the employee and for the company. So because of this performance management system in Adobe, there was increase in employee engagement, and the voluntary turnover rate of employees decreased by 30%. So the employees also felt that the company was interested in improving them. The company was ready to give them the necessary training, give them the necessary feedback, give them a positive kind of environment where they could they could work upon improvement of their performance rather than simply criticizing and in having negativity in the organization. So it enhanced the engagement level of the employees, and the voluntary turnover of the company also decreased by 30%. Then General Electrics is another company which had put an end to the rank and yank system. Rank and yank means you rank the employees, and then those who are the low performers, you fire them away. So the below 10%, the lower 10% employees, they were fired. So they put an end to the rank and yank system. Rather than that, they introduced frequent feedback and regular conversations, which they call the touch points. And it was introduced in 2015. And they are working upon their performance management system through online and mobile app. And the annual summary with the employees is built up, and which is based upon achievements and learning. So for every employee, an annual summary is prepared, and the annual summary contains the achievements of the employees and what are the learnings for the employee. So in today's world, as I said, performance appraisal should become a part of performance management, but going by only through performance appraisal will not really help in improving the organizational performance. You can see how the global companies are shifting their focus from performance appraisal to performance management. It's not that we can totally do away with performance appraisal. It has to be there, but it can become a part of performance management process, which can be carried out throughout the year. Now, if we talk about, so we have discussed about a number of aspects of human resource management. There are various dynamic career opportunities in human resource management, and big companies, they have various positions for people who are qualified in this particular field. You can see the various positions. The HR manager position is there, human resource director, can be the HR consultant, then international human resource professional, chief HR officer, vice president of human resources, labor relations director, or the employee relations manager who's looking after the IR part. Then the payroll manager can be there, the manager responsible solely for recruitment, recruiting manager, training and development manager, or learning and development manager, who has an important role to play in the organization. That those positions are there. Employee education consultant, executive recruiter, then human resources IT specialist, then recruitment and placement manager, international human resource associate, compensation and benefits manager, people analytics director, employee engagement specialist, talent manager, director of learning, diversity officer. So you have ample lot of opportunities in the field of human resource management. Depending upon your interest, you can work upon the various areas, and you can establish yourself in the field of human resource management, which has become a very challenging field in today's world, because, as I said, the expectations from HR people are not restricted only to the traditional roles, but today the HR manager, the HR director, the HR professional has to play a wide variety of roles in terms of a business ally, a strategic architect, a credible activist, and a culture and change steward in the organization. So depending upon your interest, you can work and increase your specialization in the areas under human resource management, and you can build up a good career. So in the end, I would like to say that end with the quote of Sri Narayan Murthy. He says, our assets walk out of the door each evening. We have to make sure that they come back the next morning. So that means human resources, we call them resources because they are assets of the organization, and retaining talented people and making sure that in the evening when they leave your organization, ensuring that next morning they are back with you. That should be the focus of human resource management and the HR professionals. So thank you very much, everyone. And I hope that you have built some insight into the HR field, and have a good day, and God bless you all. Goodbye.